Hello pretties, welcome to our stroll. Already messing up. Already have lipstick on my lip, on my teeth. There you go. Okay, I just want to give a shout out. Do you guys see how pretty my eyes look? It's the Super Shock shadow. Where is it? It's right here. A little quirky, and it was just the most beautiful shade. Look at that. It's so pretty. I've been like staring at my eyes the whole time. And I just have this shade all over the lid, just blend a little bit on the edges, and it was so beautiful. This shade, Waddles, I've been wearing it the last couple of days. It's so nice. It's such a nice, pretty shade, and the shimmers are so beautiful. This too, Waddles and a little quirky, really good buys from ColourPop. This one, and I have the other shade here, Rooftop Cocktails. Perfect one and done shadows. Like honestly, once I finish them, I plan on repurchasing them. Please, ColourPop, do not discontinue them, please. They're just beautiful. Oh my god. Anyway, that aside, we are actually here for my 1 week 1 palette series finale. So the last couple of weeks I had the whimsical nudes from Los Angeles, and I got some thoughts. I did take some pictures with this palette, but honestly I'm not going to show them because I didn't take as many as I should have. I will say though, this green, I really enjoyed it. Actually all the greens I really enjoyed, all three right here. This black, I did an all black matte look, like a smoky black eye look, and it was so juicy. I absolutely love a black smoky eye, and this was so easy to blend the edges with it. It was easy to like build it up and all over the lid. It was so easy to work with, so I really appreciate that. I mentioned when I first got this palette that I really wish that there was a more neutral brown, and I also wish that this one was a little more dark because a little light. I still wish this was darker. I really do still wish that. However, I no longer feel the need to have a more neutral orange. This orange, this orangey brown can be thinned out into something more neutral. It really can be. However, it does feel very warm. But if you put this yellow as a transition first and then go in with this, it really does neutralize it significantly, and it does not longer pull orange, it pulls more brown. So I don't necessarily feel like that's a need, although it is an extra step. What I still wish is that this was darker, because it did. The good thing about Los Angeles formula is that you can definitely build up pigment, but you have to build it up, and I wish I didn't have to. I wish it was a little darker. I just feel like for people with darker skin tones, it's going to be extremely too light. So I wish it was more of like a dirty mustard shade, more so than a peachy yellow. Does that make sense? Okay. Aside from that, I really enjoy this palette. This green, I definitely try to do more green looks, and what I did is I was able to go with this as a crease transition shade and then just go directly with this green shade. And the Los Angeles formula is honestly so blendable that even though this is a very dark, deep color, you were able to just go straight into the crease and be able to blend it into this shade. And even though there's quite a few shades in between, the gradients was great because they just blend so well. And that definitely, when I went with this shade, made it look more green. If I would go with this shade instead, it would definitely pull more neutral-y green, but it wasn't as vibrant. Versus if I went with this one, it was very vibrant, very green, and I appreciated that. I really did. Overall, I really enjoyed this palette. It was very easy to work with it. I don't particularly think this cream shade was needed. Instead of this shade, I wish there was something else, another kind of like green shade or another matte transition shade. I think that would have been better. Maybe like a dusty mauve. I think a dusty mauve would have done beautifully in this palette. A lot of people don't know this, but a mauve and a green actually look beautiful together. Also because of this neutral shades right here, I feel like it would have been nice to have that. But that's just a personal preference. I just don't feel like this was particularly necessary. Not that it doesn't go well, it's just I don't think it was particularly necessary. Overall, I really enjoy the palette. I really like it. And yeah, there's that. So now that we're in the finale, I do want to kind of do a quick recap, review, final thoughts of this project. But before I do that, I do kind of want to start out by saying that for the last couple of years, I've been trying to find the right project that will work for me, that would allow me to rotate through all of my palettes. And I feel like we have yet another fail. I know last year I tried the 20 uses of all my palettes, which was inspired by Chick Geek. She called it like, I can't remember what the name of it was. Like, it was like Eyeshadow Obsessions. I think I renamed it or something like that, but it was definitely inspired by Chick Geek. She had this thing where you have to use all your palettes 20 times, which was kind of similar to a pan those eyeshadows, where you in order to be successful with that project, you have to use specifically like 1 or 2 shades per palette, like only 1 or 2 shades per palette at any given time in order to transition through all of your palettes. Does that make sense? In order to get the 20 uses. Otherwise, it just wasn't feasible. Which I didn't really like that, because I felt like I wasn't able to really enjoy the palettes. I'm one of those people that I enjoy doing an entire eye look with one palette, and a lot of people like to like pull in from a lot of different things. I don't. I really like to do one look with an entire palette. I may pull in one single shadow, like a Super Shock or something like that for like topper, or one of like my Urban Decay singles to like toppers as well, or Cleona as well for like shimmer toppers. But I really enjoy, mostly more than anything, is just doing an entire eye look with just one palette. And so that project really didn't work for me. Hence why I thought about the 1 week, 1 palette. I figured if I do 1 week of 1 palette, I really get to do multiple looks with it. What I forgot to remember is that I am a professional on the go, that I sometimes don't have time to sit down and really do my eyeshadow or even do all of my makeup, and I'm just doing the bare minimum. And when that happens, I just felt like I didn't really get to use and experience that palette as I wanted to. Also with this project, something that I noticed is that a lot of times I wouldn't reach into other palettes even though I really wanted to, because I was so focused on that 1 week, 1 palette. And I just felt like this project, I actually feel like I used less palettes this project, and I feel like I neglected, there you go, I neglected more palettes in this project than I ever have before. This year was the biggest year ever that I've neglected my eyeshadow palettes, and that honestly makes me feel sad, because there's so many palettes that I really wanted to use that I didn't. I had my Raw Beauty Christie palettes, I had my So Jaded palette, I had my Persona palettes. There's just were so many times where I really wanted to use different palettes, and I just felt like I wanted to be successful and I wanted to have looks to show for it, and I didn't. And so eventually I failed again. that's the best way I can say it. I failed because there's so many times, like a lot of my shadows were neglected, and I don't like that. I really don't. I of course tried other projects. I tried the I've also tried the Pan and Every palette, and I feel like there's another project, and I just can't remember what it was, that I tried to rotate through my palettes, and again I failed. So I think I'm going to take this one from Steph. I'm gonna leave her YouTube channel link down below, as well as Chicky, because I also mentioned her. And it's just Steph. That's her YouTube channel name. I'm sure some of you guys watch her. But she has this thing where every year she allows herself to pull into any palette she wants. She of course does have project pans that she does, and for that she does kind of narrow in on some certain palettes and shadows and whatnot, but for the most part she allows herself to gravitate into any palette that she wants at any given time, and she can use it in whatever, and all she has to do is just keep tally of every single palette. And every quarter she's going to then analyze that all of the palettes that she's used, how many uses has she done, and basically have like a low tier 0 to 5 uses, have a medium tier, you know, I think it's like 6 to like 15 uses, and then 15 plus tier, right? Those are the ones that got a lot of use in the last quarter. I kind of want to do that. And then what she does is she analyzes every quarter, and then she kind of also analyzes what palettes she didn't reach for. Now, I can't remember if she does it quarterly or if she does it at the end of the year, where palettes that don't get used at all, I think she does it at the end of the year, palettes that she does not use at all for the entire year, she does declutter. So when she's looking at every quarter, it's like, there's palettes in here that I have not reached for that I do not want to declutter, so I need to make an active point to reach for them. I think that is a little more doable for me. Now, at the decluttering part, hold up. I don't know about that, because we don't have the same collection. I think her collection is well into the hundreds, 150 eyeshadow palettes. I have less than 35. Now, I will say though that 35 is definitely more than I feel comfortable having. I think it's too much. That being said, I might need to consider potentially decluttering some of the eyeshadow palettes that I do not reach for at all at the end of the year. Just because if they're not getting left with me, I need to be realistic. Am I actually going to use them moving forward? And even though I may like a palette, if I'm not using it, it's just going to waste. It's just rotting away. Now, to be honest, I don't expect myself to go without using an entire palette for a whole year. That to me doesn't sound like me. I usually like to rotate really well, and something that I do, you guys can see here, but I have like my eyeshadow palettes in like little papers, and sometimes I just kind of go in and grab one. And for example, this one is Proceed with Caution. So I want to sometimes do that because I do enjoy it sometimes, like just for the fun of it, let's see what we get, and just kind of grab and see what happens. So I do think, because I do that from time to time, I don't expect myself to not touch my palette for an entire time, but it's just something to consider. This year overall, I feel like I was very unsuccessful in rotating through my palettes the way I wanted to. It is what it is. And sometimes I didn't have time to film 1 week on palettes, or there are other videos that I wanted to film. That also being said, I am planning on doing a couple things differently next year that I think will have some sort of effect on this project. One, I already said I am going to be doing a Panda palette, and I do plan on actually, the expectation is for me to actually finish the palette, and it is my Give It To Me Straight from ColourPop. Now, what I'm planning on doing, and I've mentioned this before already, is that 1 week I'm going to work exclusively out of my Panda palette, and then the following week I'm going to allow myself to grab anything I want, everything at all, and then just keep tally of every single palette that I've used so far, and all that stuff. So there's that. Another thing that should come into consideration is the fact that I am going into a no-buy next year, because I really want to enjoy all the makeup that I have and really take some time to appreciate all the makeup that I have and not bring in as much. Now, this is not my first time doing a no-buy. If you've seen my no-buys, my previous no-buy, I don't do a true no-buy. I do allow myself to get presents, and those usually come in fours. My anniversary, Valentine's Day, my birthday, Christmas. My anniversary and Valentine's usually do stack up really close to each other. Anniversary is in March, Valentine's is February 14th, obviously, and then my Christmas obviously at the end of the year, and then my birthday is October. The only two people that buy me presents like that is my sister and my boyfriend. Now, my sister doesn't always buy me makeup. If she asks me, like if she doesn't know what to get me, she'll ask me, what do you want? And if she does, then I usually tell her exactly what I want. For example, she actually, for Christmas this year, gifted me these two palettes right here. Did I need them? No. Did I almost not get them? Absolutely. Am I happy that I got them? Yeah, I am. I'm enjoying them. But that being said, I also brought in 2 more palettes into our collection that I definitely did not need. Oh shoot. My boyfriend got me whimsical news for Christmas. So there's that. But that also means I'm gonna have to be very selective on what I'm getting. And my boyfriend also sometimes likes to not buy me makeup. He's like, you have too much. So he'll just buy me other stuff. He's actually a really great gift giver, so I'm not particularly worried about that. So that being said, I do sometimes save my birthday presents or my gifts. It's like, for example, my anniversary present, I didn't cash in on that present until like June. And my boyfriend's well aware of this because I'm waiting for the right collection for him to buy for me. So that's kind of some things that, some new things are gonna come in, but are gonna be very few and very far in between. And like I said, I do like to save those for when the right thing comes along that I do want, because I know it we're going to know that I'm gonna have very limited stuff that I can bring in. So just some things to kind of, you know, think about. This is gonna be an interesting year for me. I'm also going to be cutting back on however many videos I'm filming. Something that I noticed this year, and I've mentioned to you guys a lot, is that I'm trying to keep up with 3 videos a week has been absolutely non-realistic for me. Like I said, now we're post-pandemic for the most part. I have a pretty active social life, and YouTube is a hobby for me, you know? It's not what I do for a living. It's something that I do enjoy, although not editing. I hate editing. It's absolutely, it's not, I just like to talk about makeup and sit down and talk to you guys and talk to you guys in the comments, because that's my favorite thing. I just like to talk about makeup, and I like to enjoy my makeup, and I like to, you know, show it off and whatnot. So I'm really excited to, you know, be able to take a little more time to enjoy that. And I am going to cut back in some of the project pans that I'm doing. I'm cutting back, if you saw my plan to pan for 2023, of the amount of items that I'm trying to actually finish up. So everything's going to slow down a little bit, and I want to take some time to really enjoy what I own. I feel like I haven't done that in the last year or so. Actually, more than a year, almost 2 years. And I definitely feel fatigued, one, with project panning. Not to say that I don't enjoy project panning, but I'm feeling fatigued and overwhelmed with the amount that I was trying to project pan. I was very successful this year. I got a lot of product out, and I am glad for that, because I definitely do want to, you know, finish what I buy. But I was also overwhelmed with the amount of product I was bringing in, and I was overwhelmed with the amount of product that I was trying to finish, and I was very overwhelmed in the amount of product that I neglected overall. And that's just not me. My if you guys have seen my inventory, you guys will know my stash is not that big. There should be no reason for me not to be able to rotate through everything. It's not like I'm some of those YouTubers that have like 10, 20 foundations. I own 6, you know. I own like 3 concealers. I do own a little bit more of lip product, but if you've seen my project, excuse me, if you've seen my project pans, hold on. I don't know what happened. My eye's still tearing. But if you see my project pans, if you've seen the way I consume lip products, the amount of lip products I have is going to significantly dwindle if I don't bring in nearly as much. If I don't bring in any next year, a very minimal amount next year. I am going to do repurchase, which I don't expect to repurchase too many stuff, at least not of the usual things. I don't expect to, I just have a surplus of things. I really want to take this year to dwindle stuff down, that knowing how I consume makeup, I know I will, except for eyeshadow. But even then, I actually plan on making a dent on my eyeshadow collection this year. Fingers crossed. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Everything's all well intended until it actually happens. Although I was very successful last time that I did a no buy for my eyeshadows. So I hope that I will do the same thing this year. Fingers crossed. But yeah, I know this was long-winded, and it was kind of like the end of one project and kind of the beginning of the other one, because this is kind of my introduction as to what's going on in 2023, and I'm pretty much, you're not going to hear about this again until 2023 at the end of quarter 1, when we're doing a recap of this. So I kind of just wanted to let you guys know kind of where I'm at, what's going to happen with my videos. I'm thinking Tuesday, Friday updates. Let me know if you guys think that's something that you guys will be interested in time-wise. Does that work for you guys as well? Let me know. I'm very much so interested. Also, I mentioned it in my last video, should I buy the Natasha Denona palette before the year ends? Because obviously once I go into the Manoba, I'm not going to buy any palettes myself. Now, I'm making my boyfriend to buy it for me later on, if I don't decide by the end of the year if I do want it or don't want it. So I can definitely get it for Valentine's Day. But let me know what you guys think. The only collections that I'm currently thinking about for 2023, things that I'm going to be on the lookout for, is the spring collection from Lara Los Angeles on anything that Lara Los Angeles drops. And I'm also going to be on the lookout for Persona Cosmetics, any large palettes, because I feel like they're due. Every 2 years or so they drop a new palette. I think the Identity 1 was dropped in 2018. The Identity 2 was dropped in 2020. Might have been 2019, and the other one was 2016. Anyway, I feel like they're due for a large palette, and I will probably want to pick that up because I really, literally, seriously love Persona Cosmetics. But her little palettes, they just don't interest me. Like little more chromatic palettes of that, I'm not interested in that. So a couple of things I'm gonna look out for, but obviously, like I say, I have to be very sparing since I'm not the one buying it. I feel like I'm rambling at this point. We're gonna drop it. Please enjoy the rest of your day. Let me know in the comments what you guys think of this idea. Like I said, should I declutter at the end of the year? Honestly, if I use a palette for less than 5 times by the end of the year, I feel like I probably should consider decluttering it. It just depends what palette it is. I have some attachment to my eyeshadow palettes, surprisingly. So we'll see. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye guys!